All right, so this video is to address the fake LM308N problem that is really just rampant all over eBay and even some US sources. So, long story short, the LM308N was made famous in the rat circuits. Or sometime around the early to mid 90s, they stopped making these chips and people started counterfeiting them. Specifically the OP07. Now the OP07 is what's being used in all models of rat distortion pedals after that. The problem is it's not really to debate whether the LM308N sounds as good as the OP07. A lot of people say they can't hear a difference, and that's cool. But the main thing is it's fraud. Whenever you pay $10, $12 for a chip, and I have found these not just on eBay, but in US dealers selling these things for $10, $15 a piece, and they're fakes. So what does it mean when it's fake? Well, basically, what you're going to see is the chip will be branded an LM308N, when in reality it's an OP07. So it's not real. Now it will work. Again, you know, the OP07 worked just fine in a rat pedal, no problem. But if you were to buy a OP07 from like a reputable supply place, it's not going to cost you about a $1.25. If you buy them in bulk, you might even get them for a little bit cheaper than that. So it's really about fraud. It's about people who want to build an authentic rat pedal, and they want to say, okay, I want to build it to the original specs, and they go out and they buy one of these 308N chips, and what they're really getting is an OP07, so they're not getting what they're paying for. So I've got two ways to test these, and it's a pretty solid way to test them. The first way, and we'll zoom out here, the first way is using a breadboard and a multimeter. I have one of these Fluke 115s, works fine. It's a great little small, good for desk areas because it's not that big. But basically you can go around the pins on these and test the resistance of each pin. So I'm not going to do any resistance test, but I'll show you what I mean. So these are the pins. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8 on the other side. And what we're going to be testing in the resistance part is this. So these are the pin outs, and you'll see positive on one side, the left-hand side is negative. So the polarity doesn't matter. You have to use your multimeter to make sure you have the right positions. But as you can see, there's very little readings on the real LM308s. However, if you go down to the OP07, you can clearly see that there are a lot. And there again, this comes up. This is some desolder ones I bought on eBay, and then this is ones from a couple of local sellers. Now I'm putting this on here. Obviously, at the time of making this video, I bought these from these sellers, and they were fake. Having said that, in the future, let's say if you watch this, 6 months, a year plus into the future, they may have changed out their inventory and be selling real ones. So just something to know that there are US, it's not just a chips coming from China thing. There are US sources that are selling fake LM308Ns. And if I can get close in on here, you can see these two are real. The one on the far left is a late 60s, early 70s LM308. So these are very, very vintage. These would be more of your 80s and early 90s. This is, of course, an OP07. Hopefully it's coming through. I'm a bit shaky because I'm trying to hold it with one hand. And then this is the fake one. There again, I can't see it on the preview, but I think it'll come through on the final edit. This is a fake one. So it's, and I have a bunch of these. I have sourced them from several different places on eBay. Just buy like five or 10 of them, however they're selling them. And then I'll test them just to see what the fakes are out there. And it's extensive. I would say that 99.999% of the ones you're going to see on eBay or a lot of other resellers are going to be fakes. There again, nothing wrong with the OP07. It just really comes down to, are you getting what you pay for? You buy a pedal with an upgraded real LM308. Is that what you're getting? You pay an extra $50 for an authentic built to spec, built to early year spec rat pedals. Is that what you're getting? So the first test is going to be a resistance test. You'll see I've got a piece of breadboard. You can get these off Amazon. They're fairly cheap. I got it taped down so it doesn't slide around. And then I'm going to show you how to go around these pins and test to see if your LM308 is real. All right, we are back. So here is the easy way to test for fake LM308Ns, and as the resistance test, there again we've got our breadboard here with our real OP07 fake. We got our multimeter set to ohms, and there again, make sure that the polarity does matter, so make sure you have these right. So let's see. So the easy way to do this, if you will watch, so I'm going to put my positive on pin 1, and I'm just going to kind of work my way around. And you are going to see there's nothing. There's no readings. I'll go on the other side. There's nothing here. So pin 1 through 8, there are no readings. This is the other real one, kind of the 90s. So if we go around here, we're not seeing anything either. So very easy to test. I got my I put it on the breadboard and tape it down. That way it's not sliding around. You don't have to put it on one of these, but it just makes it a whole lot easier. So now let's do, as you saw with the first two, there's no readings around pin 1 and the negative around all of the other 7 pins. So let's do the OP07 next, and we get readings. Now keep in mind that when you test these chips, they're not all going to be exact. You just want to see if you have a reading or not. Pin 3, you have a reading. Pin 4. Pin 5, nothing. 6. You got something on 7. Now, let's go back. Let's go to the fake. There you go. See, this is a rebadged OP07. You can even see that the readings are very similar. So there again, if we go back to our real one, when we work our way around pin 1, we can clearly see there is nothing. And you can test just one pin and the rest of them, or, I mean, you can go through pin 2. And like I said, polarity matters, so make sure you go pin 2 to pin 1, pin 2 to pin 3, there's something. Pin 4, nothing. 5, nothing. 6, nothing. 7, nothing. And 8, nothing. However, let's just jump on over to our OP and go number 1. Got something on 3. Got something on 4. So just to backtrack, 2 to 3 is 8. 2 to 4 is nothing. 2 to 3 is something. 2 to 4 on the authentic is nothing. We go back to our other ones. 2 to 3 and 4 have readings. And there again, you can go all the way around these. You don't have to just like stop it at that. So there again, on the fake one, we have readings on both 2 to 3 and 2 to 4. And I'll pull this back. Hopefully I can get it to where you can see it here. So if you look, you will see what I'm talking about. So when we tested it on the real one and the real Motorola one, well, the other one's not a Motorola. I was testing Motorola's, but the other one is also an NSC, National Semiconductor. However, if we pull up to the OP07, you can clearly see where we're getting a lot more readings, and that's what the readings you were seeing when I was going around the pins. So as you can see here, if I can get this in the frame here, on pin 1 and negative pin 1, there's nothing, 1 through 8. So here, on these, you are getting something on these, which is, again, that's different. These are made by Motorola. We both have on the board here, we have both National Semiconductors. Like I say, your readings may vary. The main thing you want to look at is what kind of readings you get. With the authentic, you're going to get very few readings. Obviously, you have a lot of gaps. But on the fakes, you're going to get big time readings all over the place. And they're going to be high, like 26 mega ohms and 32 mega ohms. Same thing over here. These are the eBay pulls. And these are the ones I bought from US sellers. So, easy way to test. The next part is going to be in-circuit testing, and we're going to pull the compensation capacitor. There could be a much more high-level technical term for it. I've always seen it as the comp cap, they call it. It's a capacitor that actually bridges. I'm going to turn my multimeter off here. The capacitor actually bridges pin 1 and pin 8. So there's going to be a capacitor here. And I'm going to show you whenever you pull that out, it's going to make a weird sound for the authentics and the fakes. It won't make any difference at all because the OP07 does not require it. So coming up in part 2. All right, so this test is to show you how to do test the LM308N on a breadboard. Now, what you're looking at is kind of more of a prototyping thing. You're going to need a little more skill if you want to do this version of it. But the main thing we are looking at here is this little capacitor here. And I'm going to zoom in here in a minute. But what we're going to do is I'm going to play through this actual circuit. So I've got an input over here on the left, the output's on the right, goes straight into the amp. And that's pretty much it. You'll definitely need a little more skill building this, but basically what you're looking at is an octave circuit up top, and then the rat circuit here. And I've got some miscellaneous components where I was just kind of trying some things out. But this is basically how you prototype circuits in general. So let's zoom in on this compensation cap, and I'll show you how that works. All right, so as you can see, we have zoomed in. And so this is the LM308N, the 60s or late 60s, early 70s version. Might have been in the entirety of 60s, but it's one of the original NSC LM308Ns. So we're in the circuit now, so to kind of let you hear that sound. All right, so now we are going to pull the comp cap. Now I want you to listen to the signal when it changes. Hear that? All right, so now we'll cut the power here. And then I'm going to pull this chip very carefully, might add. Now this is the OP07, so this is the replacement that is currently in rat pedals, and it's used to rebadge and make fakes. So here's the OP07, same circuit, same everything. All right, so now let's pull the comp cap. Nothing. Doesn't change. And the reason is you don't need it with the OP07. It's not required. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the OP, and then I'm going to stick in our fake. And I don't know if you can see it. See, I'm trying to record all this on my phone. I don't have a new camera yet, but you can clearly see, or you should be able to see, hopefully, this says LM308N. This is a fake I bought off eBay. They're really cheap, so it's not like I'm investing a lot of money here or anything. So let's see how this sounds. It's going to sound good. I mean, it's an OP07 ultimately. All right, now let's pull the comp cap. Now, remember on the original one here, let's get this guy back over here. Remember on this one, we had that weird noise. With the OP07, there was no noise. So now, if this were authentic, when we pulled this cap, it would make that weird noise. But watch, nothing. And the reason is because this is actually an OP07 that has been rebranded as a LM308N. Now, again, this chip will work in the current circuit. There's nothing wrong with it, so to speak. The exercise for this really, it's just coming down to forgeries. You know, I just don't feel that people should be paying extra money for something they're not getting. Now, obviously, if you're buying the fake LM308s from China and you're only paying about $1 a piece for them, okay, fair enough. You're getting an OP07, it'll work. You didn't pay a lot of money for it, so everything's fine. But if you are paying for, you know, some of the U.S. places and even some places on eBay, they're selling this chip for 10, 12, 15 bucks a piece, which, as we know, this chip here, which is actually what it is, the OP07, you can get for around $1. It just comes down to, you know, if you set out to say, all right, I want to build an original, authentic version of a rat pedal, so I don't have to pay, you know, like 500 bucks for one on Reverb or something, then you want to be able to do that. You want to know that the chip that you have is authentic. I can hear a good bit of difference in the early 60s ones I have right here, like these guys here. These are the very early LM308s there. I can hear a difference. The older ones seem to have a little bit more of a chewy feel to them, a little bit darker, a little bit chewier feel. There's a lot of people that say, well, the chip doesn't matter as long as it works. Well, that's not really true. These chips are integrated circuits. So inside of these circuits, there are little microscopic parts, basically. Technically, if you wanted to, you could build one of these chips probably on a prototype board and basically build a chip out of through-hole parts or whatever. But in integrated circuits, they have schematics. So in the previous demonstration, where we measured the resistance, you could easily see that the resistance around these pins are different. Now, if the resistance around the pins are different, which means the signal is moving through these parts, then to me, in my mind, that says, okay, well, if there's a drastic difference in resistance or maybe other values inside of the OP07 chip, then it's going to sound a little different. Now, are you going to hear that difference in a band setting or playing live? Probably not. And you might even not hear it with a generic mic. Like I'm using an SM57, so you may not hear it using a generic mic like that, kind of an all-in-one mic. But maybe if you mic it up with something a little bit nicer in like a studio setting, you might hear a difference. Obviously in the room, I can hear a big difference. Maybe you can hear a difference on video. I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's how you test for authentic 308s. I hope by making this video that a lot of these people can get called out and say, hey, you're selling fake stuff, dude. Because I actually contacted the 2 US people, and what they told me was a little surprising. They said, well, we don't test chips when we get them. I'm like, wait a minute, you've got a chip that has been made since the 90s, but you're going to buy a bunch of them cheap and expect them to be real and not test them? What the hell? Like, why? That doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, it's fraud. When you're buying something, you're not getting it, especially when you're paying, you know, 10, 12, 15 bucks for it. When you're not getting what you're paying for, and you're getting scammed. All right. That is all for this demonstration. My other demonstration, I might actually build 2 rat circuits and kind of A-B, you know, these chips, like have a switch or something. I think that'd be kind of cool. All right, till then.